NFTs, remember those digital tchotchkes that we know, love, and some folks hate? Well, let's take a look at the NFT market and two major forces that are emerging, at least with Ethereum-based NFTs. Blur is a bit of a new entrant into this marketplace market, I should say, with a bit of new functionality that incumbents like OpenSea and others don't really have. And now we're seeing Blur volumes rival and at times surpass those over at OpenSea. Also a bit of a war of words between founders, with the Blur founder urging people to stop using OpenSea. And now we're seeing all this escalate a bit. It's fun to see. It's interesting to see. And I think we've long thought of OpenSea, again, as this incumbent that's so entrenched in the NFT trading scene that they may not be able to be displaced. Blur maybe is challenging that thesis. So let's talk about this. Jen, I'm going to toss it to you. What's your take on Blur, both their approach to sort of winning attention and, again, some of these new numbers that we're seeing in terms of volumes?
I was really surprised when I saw the numbers this morning. I didn't expect to see that Blur's trading volume would have surpassed OpenSea. Granted, I haven't looked at NFT marketplace numbers in a while. I have to just say at the top of this segment, I love that we're talking about NFTs every day again, no matter what shape or form it comes in. It just makes me happy to be here again. So, okay, what do I make of this? I think, last year we asked, do we need all of these NFT marketplaces? It seems like there's a new NFT marketplace popping up every day, whether they're focusing on entertainment, brand partnerships, traders. And the answer is no. I don't think we do need all of these NFT marketplaces, and they're going to find a way to weed themselves out by being more competitive. I think that Blur's strategy here is really interesting. It almost reminds me of the competitive nature of the exchanges we've seen happening over the past few years. And Blur is really targeting creators, right? They're saying creators deserve to get royalties from the platforms that they're on. And that's what we believe in. We believe in this ethos, the ethos of these NFT marketplaces. And OpenSea allows you to turn that option off. And so block OpenSea, you can operate with us. We're here for you, and we're going to push that ethos through. We're here for you. We're holding your hand, and we're your partner in this. And I think that it's super smart. And I wonder how OpenSea is going to respond. Zach?
I mean, they're also kind of targeting degens too, right? They have this functionality where you can kind of buy en masse, right? Let me just sweep this whole floor. I'm going to flip it, whatever. And again, sort of degens are on the cusp of like the ends of the spectrum, right? They're doing things that don't necessarily fit into sort of like a more mainstream perspective of what NFT marketplaces can be. So this is sort of like, again, the resurgence of the degen sort of leading the charge in the NFT trading realm, where historically we've seen that in DeFi and other aspects of the crypto space. So I think that is interesting too, that the degen aspect in addition to the creator aspect. Adam, tossing it to you.
Yeah, I mean, the degen kind of archetype is the one that winds up making all the transactions, right? So if you're going to go after an aggressive, like onboarding tactic, then going after the people who make all of the transactions or make the majority of the transactions, those are your power users, makes a ton of sense. I think one of the interesting parts about this to me is that OpenSea is a giant incumbent, but it seems kind of obvious that they became pretty uncomfortable with their positioning towards the middle end of last year. And we saw towards the later part of the year, I believe it was in early December, a really aggressive short time frame move, to try and kind of make people pick between the OpenSea marketplace, which at the time and to date still is the dominant platform in the space, right? Or some of the competitors that that are trying to innovate, including doing things like taking the problem of royalties, which has never been something that really can be solved on chain. Like, these are all basically glorified opt-in systems that like some users just don't understand that they're opt-in, and tried to make people basically pick. I don't think that worked very well. I think they wound up pissing off a lot of people. I think a lot of people thought that it just looked kind of like a weak move, like they were trying to retain relevance, when really they were quite relevant before. So I think that they have come to appreciate the sort of precariousness of the position in which they occupy, where they currently have incredible dominance, but that dominance could not last very long. And so they're taking pretty classic, anti-competitive steps, in some cases, at least to what I can see, to try and preserve that. But I think it's going to backfire on them. And I think that we're already witnessing it backfire on them. Well,
yeah, I'm a known NFT hater until recently with the debut of ordinals on top of Bitcoin. But I will talk about the market dynamics here, which are a bit interesting. That will pull me into the conversation a little bit here. So NFT trading was about $4 billion at its peak, like in terms of sales over a 30-day average. Now it's around 500 million. So that might seem like a steep drop off, but in reality, that's actually still a lot of money. So Brady Dale from Axios had a great piece about this morning in his newsletter, former CoinDesk reporter as well. So go check his work out. And he's talking about how like this is still like a lot of money. And we might think that the NFT market is dead or it's not really there anymore. But the reality is it's still there. It's $500 million. It's quite a bit of sales. And now we have all these different exchanges, to your point, Jen, that are gobbling up or trying to like eat at the margins any other players out there, right? So they're all competing for a very small portion of a increasingly smaller pie. And what breeds there is competition and different tactics and different strategies to beat out your competitor. And I think Blur comes into this marketplace doing the same thing, right? Where OpenSea was dominant because it chose a different strategy 2 years ago, 3 years ago, with the ability to like instantly mint something on chain. Now we have something 3 years later where they're going to change the strategy a little bit in order to have more market dominance. So I guess, Jen, there's a lot of different competitors out there, but there's only going to be more. And then we're going to see some fall off as people have different strategies that beat out competitors. Zach, up to you.
Yeah, last quick thought. I mean, you go back to those stats, right? You're looking at something like 14,000 wallets and 26,000 wallets. It's still remarkable to me that you can fit the entirety of the NFT trading environment within a single like NFL stadium. That's how early this is, despite all the noise about NFTs themselves.